ahead.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Once that more focused, keeping them inside, and we're going to stack the box a little.
On both sides of the ball, these kids have really started to play with a little chip on their shoulder. Passing game has just continued to get better. Defensively, I've made a huge improvement run to the ball and fill those lanes.
Quarterback, Trace Copper, who's an excellent player. I think he's probably one of the more overlooked kids. I think if people really turn the tape on and watch him, he's a powerful kid, really quick, really explosive, fast. It creates a lot of problems.
It's just exciting, you know. We're in a place that we want to be, you know, we're in a place that we envisioned ourselves to be at the beginning of the year. And, you know, a lot of times you go into a season, have certain expectations, and, you know, some things don't go your way, but we've been able to steer the ship well.
I'm more worried about the first match than I am anything else. The records at this point don't matter to any of us. We're all even. We're all in the same place. We're all in the same court playing with the same ball.
I think our student section being right there will mess them up. They're really supportive of us, the chants and everything. It can get pretty distracting.
One pulls it left center field and hits it well. Going back, Goodwood. Good night. Yes, sir, McCormick.
The 0-1. Swing and a line drive. Base hit. Center field. Racing home is Payman Smith. Ketel Marte and the Diamondbacks walk it off.
Don't need it. I don't think we really got into that much of a discussion about it. We talked about, but some more up to Coach Reed and V should see how they want to do things.
And welcome on into Sports Day today on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. I am Aaron Clark hosting today across from Mike and Mike. You can't spell microphone without MC. We got Mike Corson.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, you had to register that one. That was such a good intro for you. He was stunned to silence. I can't even see. Is Mike Hesher over there? Got to part the webby sea of papers here. Find my favorite Mike Hesher in the room.
Well, I hope I'm the only Mike Hesher you know, but who knows?
Who knows? It's been a wild day. Maybe there are a few other Mike Heschers listening in. Well, we've got a great show coming to you guys today as we will have Sunflower Sports Solutions' Connor Nickel on the show today. He'll preview all the Saturday volleyball sub-state action along with a look at Week 8 of the high school football season. I will also sit down with Garden City football coach Brian Hill to discuss tonight's game at Memorial Stadium as it will be a senior night for Great Bend. Hesh, we're not talking about senior like you. We're talking about the class of 2024.
Seriously? Oh, man, that kind of hurt.
Had to get that one in there. You are looking sharp with the haircut. I can't lie. It is a good look for you. Would like to remind everyone today that Sports Day is brought to you in part by the Marmy Auto Group on the 10th Street in Great Bend, along with Advanced Therapy and Sports Medicine. Get your life back.
You got to remember, Aaron, I can make you look good. I can make you look bad.
That's
with
true.
the camera.
You got the YouTube camera. You can zoom in as close as you want. I've got a face for radio, and it's one thing for sure. But we will be getting into the sounds of the past 24 hours, along with our Friday sports headlines. Starting us off, we heard from Great Bend football players Maddox Spray and Ian Premer. So they give us a little insight as to what the offense and defense is expecting, along with Coach Beck. Going to be a fun night. Senior night, a good group of seniors for Great Bend. Maybe not the biggest group, but certainly an impactful one for the Panthers. Excited to see how they play at what could not be their final home game.
And last year, I distinctly remember Great Bend had the nice run going. I was at Gypsum to watch Southeast Saline Ellsworth last year, getting in the car, driving back, and like, whoa, Great Bend just beat Garden City. This is real. Had the playoff games at home, so that's what they're shooting for tonight. So obviously some big stakes on the line. And I think Garden City, I think I heard you say this morning, some great sprinters they lost and some big skill players they lost. So I might tip the scale in favor of Great Bend tonight.
I'll be excited to see it. Pre-game starts at 6:30 as usual over on B1043 The Point. And then kickoff will follow at 7 o'clock. Hoisington, we heard from head coach of the Cardinals, Zach Baird. He knows that while both teams, Hoisington and Cimarron, may have their spots in districts locked up, don't want to stumble, don't want to trip at the end of the season after a 7-0 start for the Cardinals.
Hey, here we go. Another Hoisington, another unbeaten regular season. You think these things would be cyclical, and very rarely does he have a down year, but I fully expect him to go 8-0 heading into the playoffs, and I don't think anything other than that it means much for Hoisington, but it's going to be nice to be back in the bracket with an 8-0 record.
Could potentially be a nice tune-up game for the Cardinals, a nice chance to finish off the regular season on the right foot, not have a stumble going into the playoffs, and really flex their muscles as they head into hosting some district games.
And I was looking at the 2A bracket, or the proposed, because everything's going to be finalized, but get through this one. Could be a nice little playoff run they have ahead of them.
Absolutely. Next up, we heard from head coach of the Larned Indians, Brady Keith, as the Tribe is back home tonight hosting the Lakin Bronx. Larned, chance to lock up a district hosting for them on the first year under Brady Keith. Excited to see what they can do. We saw him run into Hoisington last week, and I think the Tribe is ready to bounce back.
At this late in the year, we've seen some comparative scores. Probably this one, I think, is maybe your best game in the area in terms of what the outcome is going to be. I have no idea.
And Hoisington and Cimarron, that game will start, or that pregame coverage will start at 6:30 on 100.7 Eagle Country with Cole Reif, kickoff at 7. And then, of course, the Larned and Lakin coverage begins at 6:30 with Gary Wagner over on Hits 106.9. That kickoff also at 7. We've got a couple of interesting matchups around the state this week, as we'll get to see a battle of the unbeatens. Southeast of Saline traveling to Ellsworth, 2 7-0 teams. Going to be excited to see what we see at that matchup.
And I was there last year thinking it was going to be another one. It looked great on paper. Southeast ends up, it was 46-7, but it was actually a little bit more one-sided than that. Most of those points came early. Ellsworth quarterback Will Cravens, 684 yards passing. Got 4 guys over 200 on the ground. Ian Andelon, watched him a couple weeks ago. Second half, he has 521 on the ground this season. Can totally eat up the clock. But Southeast has put up 46 or more in 4 of their 6 games. Their quarterback, not going to try to say his last name, has 1,400 total yards of offense, and then Nathan Friesen 640 yards on the ground. So Southeast is another one of those teams. Are they going to have a down year? They lost some tremendous kids, but still maybe one of the teams to beat in 2A.
That program, it's almost one of the best cultures there. It's hard to have a down year when you just have it that built into the program like Southeast of Saline does. Like you said, 2 offenses capable of putting up some numbers. Got a pretty good officiating crew on it tonight. We'll get some results. And then also in the 8-man bracket, we have Reno County Homeschool traveling to Central Plains. Ness City, they'll be at La Crosse. Maxville traveling to Kiowa County. Otis Bison, they're making a trip to Victoria, as Kinsley will travel to Stafford. And then South Central, moving it to St. John. Also, other 8-man games, Ellenwood heading to Sterling. Ellenwood 3-4 now after starting the year 3-0. I'm hoping the Eagles can get back on track, finish out the regular season 500, maybe have a little bit of momentum heading into districts.
Yeah, seems like an eon ago when we were having to check with our historians over in Ellenwood to see, hey, when's the last time they were 2-0, 3-0? So Eagles need to get back on the right track.
You also heard from Great Bend Panther volleyball as Kaya Bear talked about the home court advantage they could potentially have with the student section being right next to that main court. And then head coach Shelly Duvall, while it is going to be pretty fun, it's a neat atmosphere, it definitely is. The lights, how the scene it sets, says it's still volleyball, and at this point, everyone's 0-0.
Right, so Great Bend 30-4. They're going to open with a 13-19 Salina Central team, but whether you're undefeated or haven't won, throw the records out. So the kicker here is been promoting Great Bend all week. Definitely get out and watch that. Only 4 teams in Great Bend, 8 over in Hoisington. So ideally, we'll love on the Lady Panthers and then head over to Hoisington.
Exactly. Some of those sub-state matchups, as Great Bend will be taking on Salina Central here in Great Bend at 2 o'clock. Andover and Hayes, the other 2 teams matching up in Great Bend. Over at the 3A sub-state in Hoisington, like you mentioned, at 2 o'clock, Hoisington facing off against Larned, as we'll also see Lakin taking on Southwestern Heights. And then over in the 2A sub-state, Sterling, we'll see the number 2 ranked Ellenwood Eagles taking on Sterling as at 2 o'clock. Next up in the sounds of the past 24 hours, you heard as the Houston Astros were able to tie up their series with the Rangers. impressive showing as Houston had gone down 2-0 against the Rangers team that hadn't lost a game all postseason. Suddenly the Astros take 2 in a row. Now game Gubby headed back to Houston.
And here's your play-by-play note. I listened to the game for all of about 6 minutes the other night, and I heard the guy say, yeah, but Houston doesn't play well at home. So I threw it out, acting like I knew what I was talking about based on 6 minutes of hearing it. And what do you know, down in Arlington, Houston's won back-to-back. So curious to see how that one will play out.
And that series is now tied as Game 5 is tonight at 3:30 here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Over in the NLCS, the Diamondbacks got one at home against the Phillies. As you heard, Ketel Marte hitting a single to center field as it scored Pavin Smith in the bottom of the ninth inning. As the Diamondbacks able to walk it off against the Phillies for a 2-1 victory. The Phillies lead by that margin in the series now 2-1 with Game 4 starting tonight, the second game of our doubleheader here on KVGB. That game starting at 6:30. And our final sound was Mecole Hardman. Talks about whether or not he'd be able to play on Sunday. He was kind of coy about it. He was saying, it'll be up to Andy Reid and Brett Veach. We'll see what they want to do. But little known fact, he had a pretty bad groin injury. He actually spoke on that, had a little more to say about how some fans didn't quite know how bad that injury was.
Left me hospitalized actually the next day. People really don't understand. Like, I've been in hospital for 10 days, 4 or 5 days. I couldn't walk. And finally got feeling back in my legs by like the 6th day. And, I walked the next 2 days, couple of days, and finally got discharged from the hospital. And then, went on the road to recovery.
So he was hospitalized with that groin injury. Not only did he have to go in, but he had to stay there, couldn't walk for a little while. It'll be interesting to see the impact he can have on the Chiefs offense this Sunday at 3:25 when the Chiefs and Chargers square off.
And you know me and my athletic prowess, I actually had one of those injuries. Maybe should have been hospitalized, but I'm just kidding about that. I did have it. Those things don't heal. They have cost careers because they're so difficult to heal. So the fact that he had to be hospitalized for days, ouch.
It's one groin injury. It'll get you. And now moving into our Friday sports headlines, Great Bend Cross Country will be hosting the 5A and 3A cross country regionals this Saturday. Action starting at 10 a.m. with the 5A girls race. Believe 5A boys scheduled to start around 11:10 with the 3A girls in between, and then 3A boys wrapping up the day. Lake Barton, 10 a.m. will be the place to be. Then, of course...
Oh, well, we haven't talked about there. So your top 3 teams are going to go to state, and then your top 10 individuals, but then they will take the top 5 that aren't on one of the 3 teams, and those can get in. So Taven Stroop is obviously in that mix. He was talking about, I think, obviously he wants to go top 10 anyway, but a little bit of buffer there for some of the area kids maybe to sneak in if the teams don't qualify.
Absolutely. And rounding out our headlines today, the Big 12 will be in action this week as UCF, Big 12 newcomer, they'll travel to number 6 Oklahoma. Texas, they'll be at Houston with the TCU Horned Frogs traveling up to Manhattan for a rematch of last year's Big 12 title game against the K-State Wildcats. That is all for our sounds of the past 24 hours and Friday sports headlines, brought to you today in part by the Venture Corporation, reminding you to help a neighbor and shop local when you can, along with Equity Bank, more than 40 locations throughout Kansas, including Great Bend, Larned, Maxville, and St. John. That's equitybank.com. Stick around. Right after this, we'll have Steve Webster sitting down with Sunflower Sports Solutions' Connor Nichols. You won't want to miss it here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
High school seniors, the time to think about that next step is right now. Get everything set up in a few hours at Barton Community College's Senior Day on November 8th. At Barton, you can take classes, transfer to a university, or enroll in a technical program. Did we mention we have $6,000 in scholarships up for grabs? Sign up online now through November 1st at seniorday.bartoncccc.edu to attend.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Next Tech Wireless, the place to be at 10th and Madison in Gray Bend during the Shopping Over the Holidays $10,000 shopping spree from Mater Plumbing, Heating, and Air, your local Bryan dealer, and Bauer Computers. Scott Donovan here with Sarah. You guys are loaded with specials this time of year.
It's the holidays, so we got our holiday promos.
I like it. What's going on?
Bring your number to us, $100 credit. We got free iPhone 15s, free Samsung 23s, all sorts of other promos too. Yeah.
You're going to give me $100 if I bring a phone to you.
Yes, bring your number.
Okay, if you're not a customer, take advantage of that. That is unbelievable. I love it. And if you refer a friend, you've also got a deal going on.
Become a customer, send your friends over, and you get a $50 instant credit on your bill as well.
Customer service is such a big deal with you guys. You take care of everybody here, and that's what it's all about. Who's working today?
Melissa and myself.
I love it. All right, well, you got a whole crew in here, but today, just those two, so give them a little time because we know it's going to be a busy day.
Yep, come see us. We'll get you fixed right up.
And also get in here before 5 o'clock. Get yourself qualified to win $10,000 cash on December 16th. It's our Shopping Over the Holidays $10,000 shopping spree. Good luck.
It's Friday, and that means game day in the Golden Belt. To help us prime the pump, Sports Day brings you Sunflower Sports Solutions, Connor Nickel.
Connor Nickel joins us here on Sports Day on a Friday. A lot of things to jump into. Connor Nickel, founder of Sunflower Sports Solutions. What's it all about, Connor?
Yeah, so thank you, Steve-O. As of right now, we've published 140 stories here in about 2 months. I've been covering high school sports since 2007. We've got a lot of in-depth features, analysis, long-form pieces that you just can't find in anywhere else. We've got plenty of content up this week. Had kind of an overall piece on Andale and Cheney and that winning streak ending. BP Clean Right, which is our sponsor. They provided apparel throughout Kansas to various companies. They sponsor the athlete of the week. We actually honored two kind of Northwest Kansas kids. Roman Hauser from Norton. Norton is 7-0 in 2A. He's been offered by Butler and Hutch. And Audrey Bina, who is top 10 in Kansas in kills. They've put together great seasons for their teams.
Okay, Connor, and you mentioned it. I've talked to everybody else about it, but your take on Cheney Andale, round one potentially. The win streak comes to an end.
Yes, and I kind of wrote this. I had talked with Dylan Schmidt, the Andale coach, earlier this fall, and then Shelby Wehrman and I have talked a number of times in the past, specifically a very long interview last year. I think everybody should kind of take this into account, that Andale statistically entering the Cheney game was the best they had ever been of all time. I mean, that was the best Andale start that they have ever had. And considering you have the nation's longest win streak, that's really impressive. And Coach Schmidt said, entering collegiate the week prior, we're going to find out how good we are. And then they controlled collegiate and won. And then Cheney was just amazing. We've talked about how Andale has had these fast starts to get out to a 22-zip lead. And obviously Jackson Voth and Josh Burdick, and others lead that comeback there. Voth eventually scoring the final points. But, Andale, again, the best start ever, and Cheney beats them. So what does that mean about Cheney? I mean, this is an exceptionally talented team. Quick note on Josh Burdick that I had piece. Freshman year, he gets hurt. He's the backup to Harrison Voth, who ended up starting in the Shrine Bowl. A freshman gets hurt, sometimes they just kind of, they're not around, they're not going to play, various other things. Burdick was at practice every day, learning in the huddle. Cheney had a nice playoff run. He got better. He practiced. Last year, obviously, a breakout season, and now he's probably a top 10 quarterback in Kansas. So, Coach Wehrman really impressed upon me. What Burdick did that nobody saw his freshman year has really, really paid off now.
Defensively, they were able to shut down Andale after that 22-0 start, and that was the impressive thing, to keep them out of the end zone the rest of the game.
Yeah, that was, teams just do not match Andale, obviously, pound for pound, body for body. Andale consistently wins those line matchups. Though, we said it coming in that Cheney's offensive threats that we just mentioned are, well known throughout Kansas, but their defense is really good. I mean, Kaysen Messenger at D-end is a quality first-team All-State type of player. Coulter McDaniel was a first-team All-State pick last year. I expect he will be again. They had a lot of guys back at various spots. Cheney had really blown the doors off of multiple teams, including a team we're going to talk about here coming up, Kingman. I mean, they held Kingman in week 1 to single-digit rushing yards. Kingman played for state championship last year. So Cheney, an incredibly prolific team on really both sides. And Coach Weirman, it should be noted, was actually Derby's defensive coordinator for a long time. He was wanting a head coach position, got turned down. Cheney came open when Cheney really wasn't that good. And they have 5 or 6 kids, and he drives every day to Cheney. Has obviously made them into a historically great win and season here.
Okay, on to Week 8 tonight, a game that's really not getting a lot of play, even though it's big for both teams. Garden City in Great Bend tonight, Connor, and Garden City can grab a piece of the WAC title with a win. For the Great Bend Panthers, they're trying to maybe sneak in there and get a home game in the first round, plus build some momentum for the playoffs. How do you see this game at Memorial Stadium tonight?
Yeah, I was actually talking to a Great Bend parent in the last hour this morning, and he said, man, Garden City's just so big, and, that's certainly that case. I'll say this. If you line out all of the metrics on a play-per-play basis, Great Bend should not be what their current win-loss record is. They should be better. When you look at teams that, okay, you should be better than what your record is, Great Bend is maybe at the top of that list, and I mean that in a positive way. I mean, you've got a top 5. You got a top 5, generally been top 2 scoring defense in 5A. The thing with Great Bend is that they have to make plays at the crucial times. And we've seen in certain games this year that we've talked about that has not happened. And it's those plays. Sometimes it's not even in the fourth quarter. Sometimes it's earlier in the game. I think Great Bend can and perhaps should win, but Great Bend has got to make key plays in the right time win. And we've talked about this. In all 3 of their losses this season, they have trailed. And for some of those games, they've trailed the entire game. I think Great Bend scoring first tonight on senior night at home will be huge.
Okay, the 2 teams that are going to share the title, we know, well, unless some catastrophe happens. They're done. They're Topeka High at Hayes tonight, Ulysses at Liberal. What a game last week between Hayes and the Redskins, and Hayes goes on the road and gets a win.
Yeah, and an incredible contest. I mean, Hayes right now they have, by and large, I think everybody would say that they have overachieved this season. What a performance last week. They've played in 3 overtime games. Steve, I sent you the note earlier in the week. In at least the last 6 years of teams, so we're talking over 2,000 played seasons, Belle Plaine and Hayes High this year, Belle Plaine a few years ago, are the only teams to play 3 overtime games in the same season. Hayes High, just an amazing year. Again, they've made plays at very crucial times. Malik Ba comes back last week and has a massive season, but so many guys on that defense. Wyatt Kirkpatrick has had a huge year, a first year starter. Dalton Myers, a first-year starter on defense. He's had a breakout season. The line play has been really good. And quite honestly, Carter Graham at quarterback, a huge question mark entering the year, has been solid. And that's helped this team kind of engineer drives. But what a season for both of those programs. Obviously, the Redskins will share a WAC title. Still, a breakout year for them, and really nice to see that.
2A's been 2A West, especially one of the funner classifications to watch this year, and we've got 3 big boy matchups tonight. Let's start with the one in Ellsworth. Ellsworth going for their 8th straight, 2 undefeated teams. Ellsworth, Southeast. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, and Southeast, quick note here, after Andale's loss last week, who has the longest current regular season win streak in Kansas?
I bet it'd be them.
Southeast of Saline. And so, this is a team that has not lost in the regular season in basically 4 years. Grady Gephardt, the coach's son, the sophomore, has had a breakout season, as we kind of expected, leading that teaming and tackles. Here's the big takeaway. Southeast of Saline's defense, the ability to create havoc and negative plays. This season, 67 tackles for loss, 22 sacks, and 23 forced turnovers, all elite numbers. Ellsworth, 13 tackles for loss, 16 sacks, and 9 TOs. Can Ellsworth, against that havoc-creating pass rush that Southeast of Saline brings, do enough to score? I don't know if that happens, and I've got Southeast getting a close win here.
I've talked to some people say this is going to be a great game. Other people saying Southeast is going to blow them out. So I don't.
Yeah. And obviously it was certainly a blowout last year when Southeast just had way more experience. I think this game's a lot closer. Ellsworth is very senior laden now. Cravens and Weber. Cravens in particular has had a really good year. Offensively, on a per-play basis, these two teams are basically identical. They really are. The difference comes on defense, where Southeast has a decided edge there.
Okay, 2 teams that kind of the forgotten two. Kingman, you mentioned that loss to Cheney. It's 35-7. Okay, well, it's not the Kingman magic's over with. Garden Plain gets an early season, and then these 2 teams will meet tonight, each with 1 loss, and kind of off the radar a little bit in 2A on the west side, but 2 very good football teams.
Yeah, this is an historically close series. And a couple of years ago, they played a game that was decided on the final play. Kingman's won the last couple of these. This is going to be I anticipate a low-scoring game. Garden Plain has ran the ball at 90% of snaps, which is top 10 all classes in Kansas. Gage Lee earlier this season set the single game rushing record for Garden Plain. Kingman, though, I just think is more just dynamic. Carter Helm, who last year led the state in interceptions on defense, has contributed in all 3 phases. And you go back to it. Kingman against Cheney throws for 177. Against Conway Springs, they threw for 172. Garden Plain has not come anywhere close to that. I just think Kingman and Carter Helm, in the return game too, had a big 90-yard kickoff return against Conway. I just think Kingman overall has just got a little bit too much.
Okay, and then on the 2A East, you got 1 and 2 in the state going tonight. Nemaha Central against Sabetha, against one of my favorite conferences to watch football in. If you can stream the Big 7 conference. I love that league. They've got good teams, and 2 of the best go at it tonight.
Yeah, what a league. Obviously, you add in Holton in 3A. Both of these teams have got a competitive win against Holton this year. What Nemaha Central has done, they lead Kansas right now, all classes, in scoring defense. They allowed 6 points all season. Every single game since then, a shutout. Sabetha's a great team. I think these 2 teams are honestly head and shoulders above everybody else in 2A East. I mean, I would be very shocked if this is not the first of 2 matchups. Carter Heydrich for NC has stepped in for his brother, who was a top 11 all classes pick last year. He's had a huge year. Carter has, well over 1,200 yards on the ground, 25 scores. He's their quarterback too. Sabetha, as they normally are, there's much more balance. Colin Meinold, Chase Frey, Kramer at quarterback. I just think that Nemaha is so big up front. I mean, Holden Bass, who's going to Northwest Missouri State, 6'5", 270. NC is just massive. I think Sabetha can definitely match that. But I just think Nemaha will have the best player on the field. Probably will have the best two. And generally in close games like that, the best players give you that edge. I think NC wins by a score, and these two teams will see each other again.
Connor Nickel with us, Sunflower Sports Solutions, the big S3 here on Sports Day. We're going to hit high school volleyball sub-states when we come back on Sports Day.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Zach Strite, commercial lender for Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
There's nothing like A-STEM therapy. This is Tim Marcus from Progressive Physical Therapy in Hayes. Research shows that A-STEM therapy improves muscle performance and neural functioning. It's highly effective for those dealing with tennis elbow, carpal tunnel, sports injuries, and general aches and pains.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Welcome back, Sports Day. Connor Nickel with us, Sunflower Sports Solutions. Sub-state volleyball tomorrow. We'll start it off here in Great Bend. Great Bend Panthers turned in a season, Connor, of 30-4. They'll take on Salina Central tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock, get things started. Andover and Hayes in the other matchups. Great Bend has tied their school record for wins in a season. Quite a season for Shelley Duvall and the Lady Panthers. What about this 4-team sub-state?
Yeah, and you look at it. I actually talked with one of the Hayes High starters last week on Sunday. She and I were actually officiating flag games together. And Hayes High took second, and Great Bend won. And she goes, we were, pretty happy with how we played. Great Bend just played better, and that's kind of what we've talked about with Great Bend. When they play like they are supposed to play, they should win WAC, and they did. And they should get through here. The note I wanted to make is there was some hand-wringing among these top teams in 5A West that you may get a team like a Bishop Carroll or some of these teams that are really good that have taken some losses and fall into that 7 through 10. Honestly, I think Andover is really good. But it's better to play Andover than a Carroll or Capon or maybe some of that. I mean, Andover played Andover Central, who was 36-1, and obviously those two are rivals, but still, Andover played them to 26-24 in the third set. Andover has played a tough schedule. They are much improved. Hayes High and Andover should be a great matchup. I do actually think Andover wins. But I think that Great Bend has what it takes for sure to qualify, and I think they have got to be feeling really good and saying, yes, we should definitely qualify. Great Bend has all of the pieces. one of the state's most efficient hitters, depth, a back line with a libero with more than 1,000 career digs. I think, again, Coach Duval has done a great job coaching this team.
Okay, let's just go up the road a little bit. Hoisington, tomorrow. They're the number 1 seed. They'll open against Larned. Tell me about that 3A sub-state in Hoisington tomorrow.
Yeah, so I do my piece on Goodland Radio that I've done for a long time, and Goodland play-by-play. They'll be calling this match tomorrow. They anticipate Goodland and Hoisington in the sub-state semifinals, and they said, "Wow, that freshman's really good." And I said, "Yeah, but there's more than just her, of course." And I just think Hoisington has got to feel this is our sub-state to win. I mean, you have got to come in here feeling really good. Yes, Goodland's made it to state the last couple of years. The interesting note on 3A, and this will not happen this year, the same 8 teams, Steve-O, that made it to state in 2021 made it to state last year. So, Smoky Valley, Beloit, Nemaha Central, Cheney, Heritage Christian, and so on. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all that goes out. Goodland, how that kind of all works itself out. Hoisington can say, too, we've beaten Smith Center. I mean, Smith Center is the best team that Hoisington would play in this sub-state. Obviously, Smith Center is in 2A. Point is, though, Hoisington's ceiling has shown to be very, very high. I think Hoisington should qualify. I think they should go in there with a lot of confidence, knowing that no one will have a hitter like Simic. No one will have the experience across the board, and the Boxberger, Hahn, Reif, that combination, Farmer. No one will have that depth and just that athleticism across the board. You avoid Halstead, you avoid Beloit, you avoid Smoky Valley. Hoisington's got to think state.
2A sub-state at Sterling, the Ellenwood Eagles, the number 2 seed, 28-7. They have their first match tomorrow at 2 o'clock against Sterling. Inman, the number 1 seed in that sub-state. Can the Lady Eagles get out of Sterling with a ticket to the state tournament?
It's going to be hard. And I think that Coach Maxwell has coached this team extremely well. It's going to be a challenge. And obviously Garden Plains in that mix too. Garden Plain, Gina Clark, 700 career wins. Generally, they play the hardest strength of schedule in 2A. You look at Garden Plain stats, the hitting numbers are not fantastic. But what I always look at is serve-receive. And Garden Plain has a serve-receive number that's very similar to Ellenwood and other top 2A teams. Garden Plain, and then you get in sub-state here and you see them win these matches. Garden Plain is going to feel really, really confident going in. We're only playing 2 seniors. Of course, Inman has got Sutton Harris, maybe the best sophomore in Kansas, already exceeded 1,000 career kills, probably a Division I one player. Cambry Woods is a really good setter too. If Ellenwood is to win this, they have got to get great play from those freshmen and sophomores. It's going to be really, really critical. Kendall Moore, we've talked about, has had a mammoth year, but the back line with some of those freshmen, I believe they can play at a really high level, but they've got to match the first contact that Inman and Garden Plain are going to consistently bring.
St. John, the number 1 seed in the 1A D1 sub-state at Kinsley. What's the Lady Tigers' path to the state?
Yeah, I think that they are the clear favorite here. I've said this since August. They've beaten Hoisington. St. John could legitimately win the state title. Coaches have told me they've improved on their defense since the summer. I think that 1A1 is relatively open. And I think St. John has got to be thinking, we're going to make it to Saturday and play in the Final Four, and we've got a real shot to win a state title.
Okay, we also anything else with volleyball that you're looking forward to tomorrow with any team, any class?
Yeah, a couple of things here that really pop out quickly. Smith Center, Coach Lynn's final year. Can they qualify out of the Belleville sub-state? That's really interesting. I think they should. The big one to watch is what's going on in 3A. Beloit, with as good as that program is, this is the best team they have ever had. They have to face Nemaha Central, who, Coach Koch, they're 700-plus wins. Both of those fan bases, and I've talked with somebody involved with both of those programs, that when those sub-states came out, they were like, really? We have to play each other? and you look at 3A where some of those other favorites, Heritage Christian's got a fairly easy road to state. But you look at Beloit, and really, Beloit really felt like they should be in the Hoisington sub-state. That's how they feel. They did not feel like them and NC should have been together. If this is a 4, 5, or 6A class, those two teams are split. And honestly, Beloit has beaten a lot of 4A teams this year, and it just kind of stinks that those two teams that play a lot of 4 and 5A teams have to play each other in sub-state.
Connor Nichols, Sunflower Sports Solutions. Connor, how can people access everything that you put out on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, sir. So sunflowersportsolutions.com. And again, the even this week we had well over 10,000 views and reads and impressions and all that, and people signing up. Again, I really appreciate everybody. And then my Twitter is at CNICHOLLHAYS.
One and only Connor Nichol. Connor, enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Certainly, Steve-O. Thanks again.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Connor Nichol joining us here on Sports Day. Show brought to you in part by Next Tech Wireless. Experience wireless, built by Kansans for Kansas. Eller Automotive Repair, local mechanic that can help, behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source. And by Equity Bank. We're right beside you, equitybank.com. Sports Day
From the Mayo
continues
Money
after
Management
this.
Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Central and Western Kansas residents, are you looking for a new vehicle? Marmy Auto Group can make it happen. Marmy Auto Group includes Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep and Ram, Chevrolet, and GMC. Marmy Auto Group, your Central and Western Kansas dealer, has new and pre-owned vehicles, or we can special order your vehicle today. If your existing vehicle needs serviced, Marmy's award-winning service department can help. Come to Marmy Auto Group on 10th or marmys.net. Marmys, make it happen.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
Love your phone but tired of your current provider? Bring your device to Next Tech Wireless and experience wireless built by Kansans for Kansans. For a limited time, get 4 lines with unlimited data for $100. Have questions? Call or text our local customer care team at 877-621-2600. Next Tech Wireless. Home on the range.
And welcome on back into Sports Day here on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. I am Aaron Clark, sitting down with the head coach of the Garden City Buffaloes, Brian Hill. Coach, so glad you could join me today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to go ahead and get right into the football. We've got a big game coming up here. Garden City coming into Great Bend. It's going to be a big night. It's Great Bend's senior night. You're coming in with a 5-2 record. Give me a little brief rundown of how your season's gone so far this season, Coach.
We feel like we've had a really good season so far. That we've lost 2 games by a total of 8 points. We lost a heartbreaker in week 1 at Wichita Heights by 1 point. and then we lost by a touchdown to Liberal a few weeks ago. And so, other than that, had a really strong year and really happy with where we're at.
Looking at your schedule a little bit, you started the year with 3 Wichita teams. How does it different trying to get your team ready to know you're going to face some of the inner city versus ready for WAC opponents? Is there a difference in the week leading up any different in practice?
Not the way we prepare, no, but I think that, the understanding that, when you're playing a conference opponent, that, the familiarity with one another is much more, prevalent than it is, playing a team out of Wichita that it may be the only sport that we play against them. And so, I think while we try to prepare every game the same way, that I think when you're preparing for a conference game, and the familiarity that our kids have because they compete in multiple sports against one another, and the coaches, a lot of the coaches have been around for a long time, that, the familiarity is a lot more, prevalent than it is with a Wichita school.
Absolutely. And you talk about how the athletes, they'll play each other in other sports. Do multi-sport athletes make up a pretty good portion of your team?
No, absolutely. Most of our kids compete in other sports. They at least 2, if not 3 sports that we have when most of our kids compete in.
And just going to dive right in, looking at some of these kids you got. One thing that stands out to me, we'll start on the offensive side of the ball. One thing that really stands out to me, 4 returning starters on the offensive line. You might have a lot of new skill players around them, but that gives you a solid foundation to work with.
Sure, that's been, something I think early in the season allowed us to be successful was, being able to, not have to introduce a whole bunch of new people on the line of scrimmage really helped kind of ease our skilled kids into their job and made it a little bit easier. And just really happy with the growth of our skilled kids over the course of the year and all the experience that they've gotten, that, they've really come a long ways.
And so talking about those skilled players, you have a first-year quarterback, Ethan Gomez. Seems like he's been doing pretty well so far in steering your offense. Garden City right now has the leading scoring offense in the WAC. You have the most rushing yards in the conference. How does Ethan Gomez kind of fit into that system as the Buffalo's starting quarterback?
Well, he's really a facilitator, in what we do. He's he does a great job of, getting us in and out of the right play and makes a lot of great reads. But he also has the threat of being able to throw the ball. He throws a really good deep ball and has made really good decisions so far. Really hasn't turned it over. I think he only has 3 interceptions, and a couple of those came early in the year while he was, getting his feet wet. So, just really happy with the way that he has matured, with all the reps and the games that he's played so far.
And so now looking a little closer into the running game, taking a look at some of the backs that you utilize. Between Mario Ruiz and Ethan Allen, 2 backs who have over 1,000 rushing yards between the 2 of them, having a multi-headed running attack got to do wonders for a flex-bone offense like yourself.
Sure. I mean, it allows us, to be able to spread the ball. That's, the main reason why we run flex bones, be able to, get multiple people involved, and the fact that they've been able to be so successful. Really, Ethan played for us a year ago on defense, was a backup on offense, and has really, flourished in the role of being able to play on both sides of the ball, and has been a big threat for us. And Mario stepping in, at our B-back position and really kind of being the hammer back there. He's really done a good job, and, really, again, pleased with where they've come from, and they provide a big threat for us in the run game.
This is Aaron Clark sitting down with head coach of the Garden City Buffaloes, Brian Hill. Now, looking a little more at Ethan Allen, you say he played cornerback last year. This year, more of a role on offense. How did that develop? Was it a plan from the end of last season to get him involved on the offensive side a little more, or was it just something that showed up over camp?
No, it was a plan. I mean, he was a backup to Ryan Hyman, who had the same role last year. He played corner on defense and then doubled as our slot on offense. And we had Jerry Ortega, who was a really good running back for us there as well. So we didn't really need Ethan. We had him. He took reps and he played in a few games. He got a few carries, but with their graduation, that it was just a natural progression that we had told Ethan that we wanted him to take that role that Ryan had left, the be able to play on both sides of the ball, and he's really taken it and run with it.
Having those players who can play both ways really helps a team. But looking at your defense, you've got a linebacker in Jesus Rodriguez. He's been a real force in the middle of your defense there. What can you tell me about him?
Yeah, he's started for about 2.5 years now, and he's really matured and grown. He's done a great job. He's a leader on the defense. He makes all the calls, and he's a solid football player that doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's learned to read his keys and do things the right way, and he's really been a mentor to our sophomore linebacker Colin Plankenhorn, and has really helped in his development at that position as well.
Having older guys who can help bring along those younger guys in a program, so vital. What goes into kind of making that culture at Garden City? How do you instill a good culture that promotes players to help them, those younger kids underneath them?
I think that it's always something that's kind of handed down. We try to give them opportunities to, communicate with one another while they watch film together. They do some things during practices that we give the individual time to players to communicate with one another, because, a coach can only do so much, especially when we're standing on the sideline. And so having that and understanding and helping him get lined up and, maybe anticipate maybe what's coming or whatever, those are big things and big factors, that most people will not hear or see happen on the field. Because they happen in, just kind of bypassing type communication. But those are huge communication skills that need to happen, within the course of a game and between plays.
Absolutely. And so taking a little bit of a wider scope view of the game now, you've been at Garden City for 14, 15 years at this point. You've played Great Bend a couple of times throughout that series. Late in the season, it seems like Great Bend Garden always clash for great games. What are you expecting heading into this one?
Oh, this will be a classic, Garden City Great Bend game. I mean, it's going to be physical. It's going to be, both sides are going to be prepared. The kids play extremely hard on both sides, and it's one of those deals that the team that doesn't make the most mistakes and doesn't have very many penalties and things are going to win the game. I mean, that's kind of how it's been, but they've. I expect it to come down to the wire. It always does. And this is one of those games, again, that doesn't really matter what records are or what's at stake or anything like that the two teams are going to get together, and it's going to be a good football game.
A lot of implications, not only for Week 9, whether or not Great Bend will be playing at home, but for you guys, some WAC title implications. Coach, what are your final thoughts heading into this final week of the season?
Yeah, there's a lot of things at stake, but, outcomes, we think, in sports and coaches spend a little too much time talking about outcomes. We like to talk about the process. We want kids to, stay focused on, preparing themselves, throughout the week and, practicing hard, doing all the things that they need to. The outcome will take care of itself if you do all those things. If you sit around and only worry about the outcome and talking about it all the time, then you're going to forget about the process, and usually that's going to lead to failure. So, we talk about it on Monday. We put it in a big perspective, but then once that comes, and goes, then we try to, focus on the process and go day to day to get ourselves to Friday to a game, and then to go out there with some confidence and perform.
Some incredible insight from the Garden City Buffaloes head football coach, Brian Hill. Coach Hill, thanks for sitting down with me today, and good luck on Friday.
Thank you so much.
We'll have more Sports Day coming up right after this.
Barton Community College helped me get a jump start on college with early college opportunities. With Barton's help, I earned my degree at the same time I graduated from high school. You can take classes on campus, online, and even at your high school with teachers you already know. With tuition rates starting at $50 per credit hour for select Kansas high school audiences and scholarship opportunities, it is easier than ever. Barton Community College helped me get one step closer to my dream, and it can help you too. Learn more at highschool.bartoncccc.edu.
Get the power you need for your farm equipment. The power of peace of mind that dependable Cenex lubricants deliver. With decades of proven off-road performance backed by the industry-leading Cenex Total Protection Plan warranty. Cenex heavy-duty diesel engine oils, hydraulic fluids, gear lubricants, and greases are formulated to provide superior protection for load-bearing equipment. The power you need to keep your business running like a well-oiled machine.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor, today.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Oh, welcome back into 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM here with Sports Day. Just wrapping up the show, would like to remind everyone that Sports Day is brought to you by the Barton Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country, as well as the American Plains Fuel Bulk Department, your certified Cenex lubricant dealer in Great Bend. Heck of a show, as you heard from Connor Nickel today, as well as head coach of the Garden City Buffaloes. They'll make the trip into Great Bend to take on the Great Bend Panthers tonight for senior night. Great Bend Booster Club are going to be there. They'll have a walking taco tailgate served north of the grandstand. They'll also be wrapping up their Kansas City Chiefs ticket raffle for the game on Sunday. The winner will be announced at the end of the third quarter. And they're also having a team-signed football raffle for senior night. So plenty going on at the game in Great Bend tonight. Going to be a busy weekend in the area overall. Sub-state volleyball going on. Great Bend, not the only one in action. Hoisington Cardinals, Hesh.
It's a huge weekend. You got track, you got cross country at the Barton. So yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Hoisington volleyball. They've been very impressive this year. Connor Nickel talked a little bit about them, but they got pretty much a senior-laden team. But they have a young freshman named Sophie Simic, and I tell people, you hear in baseball when somebody is very good, the ball, you can hear the difference of the ball coming off the bat. When she hits it, it's the same way. But she has a very good athletic family. Mom played Division I volleyball, and Dad was a Division I basketball player. So there is some genes there. But she's 6'1" as a freshman, and I've always told people, I've gone to a couple of away matches, and they say, wow, she's good. I say, yeah, she's a freshman. And they just kind of look at me like, oh, my. But a senior-laden team with Sophie Simic, I forgot about Goodland being there, so it will not be as easy as what maybe some people are thinking.
Should be some great competition. Like you said, some senior-laden Hoisington Cardinal team, but a little bit of youth mixed in there with the freshman Cynic.
I don't think that's ever a bad problem when you got a mixture of young and old.
It's kind of nice. You can maybe get some of those seniors to pass down some wisdom and some knowledge of how to play. What
culture? Maybe pass down some culture.
Exactly. Build the culture a little bit up over there. Also going on this weekend, of course, the NFL rolls right along.
Are they still playing?
Week 7 has arrived. It feels like just yesterday the preseason was starting. Now we're already getting into the bulk of the season. 7 weeks in, excited. One of the matchups, very excited to see this week in prime time on Sunday night. Miami heads to Philadelphia.
That should be a good one. I agree.
It's going to be a top-tier matchup. Excited to see what Philadelphia can do to slow down a Dolphins offense that's looked elite, and on the same hand, what the Dolphins defense can do to stop that Jalen Hurts-led offense. Very efficient. They've got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith out there. It makes it very hard to stop them, not to mention one of the best offensive lines in football.
The Dolphins are so fast, though. It's incredible how fast they are.
The next-gen stats, top ball carrier speeds might as well just be a roster.
I think I heard you say this earlier. That's crazy.
It's only gotten worse as the season's gone on. I believe the top 8 spots, or 8 of the top 9 spots, are currently held by Miami Dolphins. Just an incredibly fast team.
And have you heard who the backup punter for the Chiefs would be? If
Patrick
Townsend?
Mahomes. He is confirmed by Dave Toub.
Yes.
Thank you. Chiefs special teams coordinator. We'll talk all of that and all of the sports news from the weekend here on 1590 KVGB on Sports Day, 12:30 to 1:30 on Monday. See you there.